For Pacifica Radio, I'm Christina Onnested. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken is now in Israel to discuss a ceasefire hostage swap deal brokered by the U.S., Qatar, and Egypt. Hamas responded to the proposal Tuesday with a three-phase ceasefire plan over 4.5 months. As part of an agreement, all hostages would be released in exchange for hundreds of Palestinians imprisoned by Israel, including senior militants. The proposal would effectively leave Hamas in power in Gaza and allow it to rebuild its military capabilities, a scenario Israel is likely to reject. A quarter of Gaza's residents are now starving. 85% of the population has been driven from their homes, with hundreds of thousands crammed into makeshift tents in the south as the war enters its 5th month of bloodshed. 3 media reports are now questioning Israel's claims a handful of United Nations relief staff in Gaza were involved in the October 7th attack in southern Israel. The Daily Beast and Britain's Channel 4 are reporting they received copies of an Israeli dossier shared with the United Nations Relief Works Agency in Gaza and say it's lacking and provides no evidence UNRWA staff were involved in the October 7th attack. Channel 4 also reports 13,000 UNRWA employees in Gaza undergo checks against a UN terrorism list and were vetted and approved by Israel. The UN has launched 2 investigations into the allegations. In the U.S., House Republicans failed to impeach Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas when a handful of them voted against the move with Democrats Tuesday. This comes as a bipartisan bill to beef up border security and provide aid to Ukraine and Israel faces a vote in the Senate today. Though Republicans have already rejected the bill, they helped negotiate in a stunning about-face. Both moves have drawn scrutiny of Democrats. Christopher Martinez reports.
Tom McClintock is a Republican from California. He opposed impeachment.
Cabinet secretaries can't serve 2 masters. They can be impeached for committing a crime relating to their office, but not for carrying out presidential policy.
On the Democratic side, Jim McGovern of Massachusetts says Republicans want to create chaos and confusion, and also to create a campaign issue for Donald Trump in the presidential election.
That's the real dereliction of duty here. House Republicans' refusal to address our challenges at the border because Donald Trump told them he wants a crisis so he can help his campaign, so he can hide from his crimes. Well, they own this now. Republicans own this now. They own the border. They own the fentanyl crisis. They own it all because they refuse to behave like adults. They're acting like spoiled, rotten children who got what they want and still can't take yes for an answer.
As for President Biden, he said it's time for Republicans to, in his words, show a little spine and decide who they serve, Donald Trump or the American people.
But if the bill fails, I want to be absolutely clear about something. The American people are going to know why it failed.
Reporting for Pacifica Radio News KPFA, I'm Christopher Martinez.
House Republican leader Mike Johnson says he's backing a standalone Israeli funding bill. And in the Senate, leader Democrat Chuck Schumer's now floating a standalone Ukraine funding bill. A federal appeals court panel ruled Donald Trump is not immune from prosecution and can face trial on charges he plotted to overturn the results of the 2020 election. The court unanimously rejected Trump's claim of presidential immunity and special counsel Jack Smith's prosecution for actions Trump took while in the White House and in the run-up to the deadly January 6, 2021 Capitol attack. Max Pringle reports.
The 3-judge panel said in a unanimous opinion, quote, "We cannot accept former President Trump's claim that a president has unbounded authority to commit crimes that would neutralize the most fundamental check on executive power," unquote. Tom Wolfe is director of the Democracy Center Initiatives at New York University's Brennan Center for Justice. He called the D.C. Circuit's ruling a landmark decision.
But it also signals a very strong step in the right direction towards holding Trump accountable for his attempts to overturn the 2020 election and inciting the riot on January 6th.
Trump's attorneys have argued that a president needs immunity to be able to make executive decisions and to act without fear of legal jeopardy. The panel gave Trump until the 12th of February to appeal to the U.S. Supreme Court to stay the decision. Observers say Trump has made no secret of the fact that his overarching legal strategy is to seek delays, because if he were to win the 2024 presidential election in November, before the federal cases go to trial, he could appoint a loyalist as Attorney General who would then drop all charges against him. I'm Max Pringle.
Republican presidential candidate Nikki Haley lost last night's presidential primary in Nevada to the none of these candidates option on the ballot. Frontrunner Donald Trump didn't compete in the primary. It doesn't award delegates needed to win the GOP nomination in the state. Trump is instead focused on Nevada's caucuses that will be held Thursday. Democrat Joe Biden easily won the state's Democratic primary. I'm Christina Onnested, reporting for Pacifica Radio.